All right, so what do you say we jump right in?
Yep, no worries. Fire away. There's heaps going on, heaps to talk about.
All right, so we will be opening the show with talking about the current situation involving the now former women's tag team champions Sasha Banks and Naomi after they reportedly had walked out of a Monday Night Raw taping just a couple weeks ago. Now, before we dissect it all, what was your thoughts when you first heard the news, Pete?
Well, originally I thought maybe it's a work and they were going towards some sort of angle. But clearly WWE have gone to great lengths to push it. So let's assume it's not a work. I don't think it probably is at this stage. They're talking about holding the tournament for the now vacant WWE Women's Tag Team titles.
With what teams?
Big yours?
With what teams?
Wow, that's, yes. Look, it's not really strong. And it'd be really hard to sort of pick a team, but let's come back to that in a sec. Let's talk about the actual, well, incident, for lack of a better term, Anthony. So from what we understand and what we're led to believe, Naomi and Sasha gets to the building early in the day.
Yep.
They're advised of the change of plan or what the match is, a 6-person match, and the winner is going to go and face, I think was it Ronda Rousey or
Bianca Belair?
Bianca Belair, sorry, yeah. And apparently they had an issue with it. Interesting to note that when they did something similar a while back and Sasha was booked to win, she didn't have a problem with it then, but she wasn't booked to win, so she had a problem with it. I don't see what the issue is. She's gone to Vince McMahon. They've had a meeting. Obviously didn't go their way. And then they've walked into John Laurinaitis' office, put the titles on the desk and walked out. Now, I can tell you, as a former promoter and booker, I'd have no hesitation whatsoever in suspending them for that. You come in, yeah, you're the tag team champions. We're trying to work an angle. We're trying to do a match. We've advertised the match, which is going on worldwide TV. Do it. What's the big deal? I don't understand what the big deal is.
The one thing that I found interesting was apparently there was 2 people in that match where they've done matches before with them and apparently they feel unsafe.
Well, gee whiz. Look, I've been around 30 years with wrestlers. There are some that are safe, some that are not. I mean, they used to go on about Nia Jax being the most unsafe worker in the women's division and all of this. Like, seriously, look, little accidents happen and whatever, but if you're a world-class professional wrestler, you know, you just get in there and you do your match. I mean, if they were that unsafe, they wouldn't be working, really, and because they can't afford to have lawsuits and injuries and whatnot, and they've basically taken their bat and gone home. Now, I'm of the understanding that Sasha's contract comes up very shortly anyway, so maybe this is an angle for her to go. Maybe Naomi will end up joining the bloodline because her husband, of course, is Jimmy Uso. Either way, it won't be a good look backstage for either of the girls. Particularly, I think Naomi, given the push that her family are getting with Roman Reigns and the Usos, which we'll talk about later. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like it personally. I'm old school, but I don't like it. I think it's a pretty shitty thing they did. And even to the point where WWE have now taken all their merchandise and everything off their website.
Which I have. And see when I first saw this, I thought it was, as you said, I thought it was a work. I'm like, you show up, you're the current women's tag champions. You've had such a big moment at Mania winning those belts. Then 5 weeks later, you're like, oh, nah. You know what? Nah.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I don't like it. I think it's unprofessional. I mean, some people have been on, on social media, but there's a million keyboard warriors who really don't know.
Oh, 100%.
A turnbuckle from a tag rope. And they profess to, know everything. I certainly don't profess to know everything, far from it. But having been in there and understood the workings of a promotion and whatnot, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah, like
I had a guy years ago who I'd booked.
Right.
We did we booked a whole main event around him. Right. And what we were going to do and all our advertising and all our promotion for a whole month was all booked around this guy. And then 4 days out, he tells me he can't do it because it's a Sunday show. And I said, but it was always a Sunday show. You knew it was going to be a Sunday show. What's the problem? And then you got to get out there and front the crowd on the microphone and say, look, I'm sorry, our main event is not our main event now. And people felt rightly ripped off. And what could I do? I had, we bought in a replacement, etc., but the damage was done. You can't do that. You can't hold cards and promoters to ransom.
Do you think that the way that they've handled it, the way that the E has handled it, that it was the right way, or would you have handled it?
I do. I'll tell you why I do. I think because it puts a warning out there that if you're gonna do a shit thing like that, and you're gonna stuff us all up, and you're gonna stuff up an advertised main event, which is it's not screening in some bingo hall. This is going all around the world.
Yeah,
advertised. Hang them out to dry and let the rest of the talent know. If you're going to do that, A, you're going to get suspended. B, we'll take your merchandise off, and C, whatever stipulations are in their contracts over there, which I wouldn't know. We're going to hold you to it. I think you need to send out a warning. I mean, the guy I spoke about before, we never ever booked him again. He was just blackballed.
Which could be possibly what happened with Sasha and Naomi.
So Naomi, they won't, because they've invested way too much in the family. So I think from a political point of view, and probably from a business point of view, probably not. And Sasha, well, she reckons she's some sort of superstar and can go and make movies and could go to AEW where they all go and then get buried. Which is a very interesting thing. I have nothing whatsoever against AEW. I think good on them for having a go and trying to be a rival. But you have a look at how many people have gone there and have just got lost.
Yeah, true.
You don't see them, you don't hear them. They're booked with them, but where are they? You don't see them, you don't hear them, they don't do much. CM Punk's been nothing but a flop. He was a one-night wonder, really. Have a look at their ratings. They increased tremendously on the night he was supposed to be there, and everyone tuned in to see. But really, it hasn't necessarily put a lot more bums on seats.
Funny that you mentioned CM Punk, because the last people to walk out of a show over the same reasons was CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, they did. And Punk's done it twice. He did it in another promotion before WWE, and I just, for the life of me, can't think who it was. But he did do it to someone else. He won the belt. He started bad-mouthing them and, doing what he did, and then walked out, and he did the exact same thing at WWE. So probably if AEW was smart, they won't put the belt on him. But that's another story.
Yeah, that is.
Look, I think, it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. I mean, Michael Cole on probably 2 weeks in a row, and even Corey Graves have said how unprofessional it is and how they've let everybody down. You got Mark Henry saying from AEW that Jimmy Uso, should have fired back at Corey Graves for what he said. Now, Mark Henry's got nothing to do with the promotion anymore. I mean, keep your nose out of it. You left and went for money over at the other side. And fair enough. Everyone's got a right to work wherever they want. But, I don't like any of it. I'm old school, and you just don't do it.
What I find interesting about this whole thing is that they were going to be, both Sasha and Naomi were going to be in pretty big storylines.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a result of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's... look, I'm not a fan of Sasha Banks, I've got to be honest. I've never really been a big fan.
I honestly don't see the hype.
I don't know. Look, yeah, there are certain workers you like and don't like, and yeah, it's all ego driven. Most of the wrestlers have got egos, and a lot of them believe their own advertising and their own marketing, and to a degree they have to get over. But yeah, I don't know. I think she's just got this superior ego-y thing about her, and I don't think she'll be a massive loss, to be honest.
Do you think, this might be a bit controversial here, but do you think that the women's tag titles were a bit of a failed experiment?
Well, WWE for a long, long time have never really done much with the men's or the women's tag titles. The women's tag titles, I think, came about as a politically correct thing to do, and Stephanie McMahon, who we should also touch on too in this broadcast, because she stepped away from WWE for a while and has taken WWE off the front of her social media things and that, which is interesting, and I have a theory about that. But I think that was all done with the whole politically correct thing and women's rights, and have Queen of the Ring and the Royal Rumble for the women, and everything the men were doing, the women should, and fair enough. No disrespect, no problem at all. But they were never really serious about it. And to answer your earlier question, who wins the titles now? That's going to be tough. I actually, off the top of my head, I can't sort of say to you, bang, there's a women's combination that could do something. I mean, they're teaming up now, Doudrop and Nikki ASH, but they might be interim until they can get something going. They've got rid of a few of the good tag teams. Now, whether they go safe and go Natalya and what's her name?
Baszler.
Yeah, Shayna Baszler, and go safe a bit there for experience till they can build a couple of teams up. But I don't know. Is there anyone that comes to mind that you think, bang, here we go, this is a good team ready to roll?
Honestly, no.
They've broken up, what's her name? Sorry, my memory's not working today. The Aussie girl.
Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley and
Liv Morgan.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have been great. But now that they've done the split, and I mean, you can't all of a sudden just bring them back together and put the belts on them. Maybe Oscar and somebody. Yeah, hard.
See, I think it's probably time to I know this goes against all my preachings and all of that, but I think it's probably time to get rid of the women's tag titles. Maybe
they won't, and they can't. From a political point of view, God, the grief they would get, and they'd get it on a couple of fronts, Anthony. They'd get it on the fact that it would highlight that they really don't have a lot of great women there, and they got rid of some really good teams like the Iconics and all of them. They would have been perfect. They could have held the belts for a while with that gimmick they had until they built some teams up around them. But anyway, it would go against the whole thing that would highlight they really don't have a women's division that's significant. B, it'll be all up in arms because, they've ditched the women are not a priority, and the whole equal rights thing would flare up. So even if they really wanted to, you couldn't. You do brand damage.
But if they were to replace it with like a mid-card title, like a US type title, though.
Nah, No, they're going to need to. They've got it. They either just let it sort of fade into the background a little bit for a while, like they did with, the old North American title and stuff like that back in the day, which is now at NXT. But I don't know. I mean, there may be, but see, I'm even thinking at NXT, there's probably no real. I don't know if any of the women's tag teams there already. I mean, they've got that Gonzalez woman, but again, they'd have to find someone with her, the big, the big behemoth one. But I like her. I don't think she's much of a worker, to be honest. But in a tag team, you can hide them a bit.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's